All right, guys, so welcome back here with another episode of StreetCast. It's been a long time, and today I'm here with.
Key, like you put me in a door. Not that door, but key.
All right, nice, Key. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you know my name now, but do I keep walking? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, where do I even begin?
I think since we're in a creative space, you can discuss your journey with painting.
Oh, okay. So painting, I actually have been kind of artistic most of my life, I guess. I was always doodling or drawing on people's papers. It was kind of a nuisance. Um, but yeah, just constantly, I don't know, I always had like these big, colorful visions or scenes in my head, and I just felt like a very a big impulse to just put it out on paper somewhere. So drawing was actually my first medium, or illustrating. Then I moved on to graphic design, and then I got bored with just being in front of a screen and on such a small canvas of paper all the time. So then I went over to canvases and been there ever since. But I didn't really start taking it seriously until I moved to Los Angeles, because I'm not from Los Angeles. I am from Seattle.
Ooh.
Born and raised in Seattle. Rainy city. But I'm a sunshine gal.
Nice. All right. So next up, looks like we both previously lived in Japan.
We
So
have.
how do you feel like that affects your artwork, whether it's themes, colors, subject matter?
I think in terms of themes and subject and all the materials that I use, it tends to be very mixed, because that's what I am, I guess. But so you'll find little notes of origami paper, some acrylic, different types of textures, but most of all, it's usually just acrylic on canvas. And there's always a blend of colors.
Oh.
I don't ever think, like, as much as I try to use solid colors that replicate more of like a graphic art type of style. A truck.
Got lots of people moving into the neighborhood. So
Yeah, there's lots
we got
of
some
people.
new neighbors coming.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's been a huge influence in my work. I always try to reflect some sort of experience or a feeling that has happened to me recently in a lot of my work. And I hope that resonates with other people too. I think that's like my biggest hope, is that someone can look at it and be like, oh shit, I feel that too. Or like, oh, I've had an experience very similar to that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of felt that way when I was looking at the one that I think was addressing waste, and it kind of reminded me of the Chinese takeout bags.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think that's something, an imagery that we're all very familiar with. It's very ubiquitous.
Yes.
And, everyone kind of knows that when they do Chinese food, often it's takeout, often there are lots of disposable utensils, sauce cups, and things that we're having to deal with. So,
Absolutely.
that was kind of one of the things that I picked up on from that. All right, next, and got a cut here. All right, Key, so let me know, what is a goal or bucket list project for you?
A bucket list project. If we want to dream really big, one day I really want to open up a community center with a large garden and open spaces for people to create their art. And I want them to feel safe and like they belong. That's my really, really big goal. And of course, like some more generalized stuff, like, oh, I want to go travel the world, and a bit more selfish oriented goals. But that's the one I really want to prioritize the most, is to open up a community center one day.
So I have my own thoughts, but is there an impetus for that, such as art feeling inaccessible or out of budget for many people?
Absolutely. I don't think art is funded enough. I don't think creativity is funded enough. I think that it all comes from a place of capitalistic, greedy intentions most of the time, and I am not down with that. One of the most human things that we can do is to create and share those ideas with people. And right now I feel like we're being very oppressed and silenced with that. So yeah, I would love to someday. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, actually, speaking of the oppression thing, that was actually one of my thoughts, is that often we associate creativity with like having these super clever ideas or really unique perspectives. But I think creating just means making, and there's a human
Yes.
urge to make something or do something
Yes.
that we often make people feel like they can't approach because they don't have some groundbreaking idea or approach to the thing that they want to do or make. And that's kind of oppressive.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, oh, I can't go out and shoot street photography because I don't have a Leica M6 or
Right.
a Ricoh GR3 or any of those. Like,
Yes.
just use your phone if you have to or whatever,
I think it really tricks us into the idea that you have to come from a rich background. And granted, like, yeah, if you have monetary resources, it is definitely a shit ton, a lot easier to do things. But at the same time, it can really start out from just, I don't know, utilizing very sparingly resources from the earth, like putting some leaves together and shaping it in the form of a flower, even though it's made out of leaves. I don't know. There's just so many things that you can create. And I think we stop ourselves from doing that quite a bit. Yeah,
totally.
I don't know.
There are materials, things to see, things to listen to, things to touch everywhere.
Yes.
With consent.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest thing too.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, so since you are a painter, I'd love you to tell me about your favorite painting of your own or someone else's or both.
Oh, right now, I think my current favorite painting it's called The Director's Wallpaper, and it is a wallpaper that was featured in one of my favorite director's films called, I believe it's in Happy Together. Look at me, forgetting. I'm bad with recall, but it's this beautiful floral wallpaper, and Wong Kar-wai is just sitting there right in front of it, just kind of contemplating. Someone took a photo of him just sitting there right at the dining table in front of it, and I thought it was just such a beautiful thing in the background to not bring to the forefront. So I painted it, and it's still hanging on my wall. But yeah, that's one of my favorite ones because he's one of my favorite directors. I think he's inspired a lot about what I think about romantic love and misconnections and yeah.
Yeah, I think his work is also really important because everyone is so inspired about it, or from it, I should say, yet everyone is obsessed with camera specs, sharp lenses,
Right?
more megapixels.
Yes.
But he had none of those things.
No.
And if you look at a lot of his film stills, a lot of them are kind of slightly out of focus by today's standards because they weren't hitting super critical focus on one's eye back
Right.
then. They were just using your basic rules for distance and focus, etc., depth of field.
Yes.
So it is very interesting. Like, he is someone who we should learn a lot of lessons from about creating mood,
Yes.
creating atmosphere,
Yes.
creating something that resonates with people on a human level.
Yes. Absolutely. And I found it very interesting that he also, like, for example, there's this one scene in The Mood for Love when Tony Leung and
I think
Maggie
I'll get
Chung.
on your other side.
Oh,
'cause there's
sorry,
some
yeah,
diners
super
that
bright.
I'll try not to interrupt.
Yeah, where Maggie Chung and Tony Leung, they were having their sort of, how do you say, confessional talk in front of, it was all done on one wall, but it made it look like he was taking it in multiple different environments and scenes. So I found that very fascinating and very resourceful, that we don't have to have this giant budget to create all these different scenes and what have you, and then
That was a film
he just
equivalent
did-
of a bottle episode.
yeah.
All right, so Key, when researching this, I came across the 5 to 9 podcast, which was about emphasizing one's identity outside of work and the activities and achievements they have in that space. So what was the impetus and goal for creating it?
Oh, that's a great question. And it's funny because we actually found that there's another person that started a podcast that had the same exact name.
Oh,
So we had to rebrand it. And we just came up with a whole new name, maybe, I want to say a couple days ago. We redid our first episode because we had to rebrand it. But it's essentially the same concept, but we're calling it After Hours Asians. And it's basically the same thing where you have two working Asians talking about everything that outside of work that does not entail paying the bills. But anywho, the impetus with that is, I think time and time again we hear, hi, my name is so-and-so and I work at, or I do this. And it's just like, well, I think that we're more than what we do to pay our bills, and we're more than what monetary value puts on us. So,
because the question, like, what do you do? Literally, people can only answer it with their occupation or their day job.
Right.
You do many more things than that, but the question literally just assumes that is the only answer that you will give.
Yes.
Just asking.
And I think that's kind of dehumanizing in a lot of senses. I think we are much more than the outputs of our labor. And I don't think that's nearly as emphasized as enough.
Right.
I think there's definitely value in things that don't make money.
Oh, we got a plane flying above us.
Oh, I love it. I'm trying to look for like less, because everyone's just getting off of work and everyone's walking their dog. That's no problem. That's just life, you know.
Well, I mean, that's what, attracts us to these areas is just the life that's going on.
Oh yeah, I love it.
But Key, to finish this up, since we are shooting today, I guess our last question is what brought about the pivot to modeling?
I always felt I'm even like slowing down as I'm talking about this, but I always feel very, lack of a better word, shy or not very confident in front of a camera, to be honest. But I really wanted to pursue journalism since I was very young. I just enjoyed really talking to people, but I knew that one of the prerequisites with some of that is being in front of a camera and being part of that environment, if you will. Because I don't want to just make anyone feel uncomfortable. Like if I'm behind the camera, I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, so I might as well join them on the camera. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to, grow a little bit more. Sorry, it's like an obstacle course. Confident with being on camera, and
Something that I could use too, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look at it more as I'm just being documented of living. That's really all it is. I don't think it's anything more. It doesn't have to be a performative matter. It's just living in front of a screen, or not a screen, but a lens.
Yeah,
Living
I think
in front
that's
of a
the goal
lens.
with this, is just to get to know people in a very comfortable, conversational manner.
Yes.
So, cool. Well, thanks for appearing on this video. Where can people see more of your work and your paintings?
Oh, geez. You can find me on the gram. But
All right. I'll
you
put
can
the
find me on
link in the
gram.
description, y'all, so it'll be there.
It's at ___keychan, KEYCHAN.
All right.
Yay.
Great. All right. Thanks so much.
Bye.